Every year you're gifting 2,000 to 3,000 gifts in your local community. That's absolutely incredible. Can you just imagine how many people are touched and impacted by that kindness?
This woman was like, you gave me gifts one of your first years, and it means so much to me. And like, I still think about that and I try to give back. Just having that someone caring about me enough to like give me Christmas is like, with moving to her, and like she was crying, I was crying.
We're all crying now. But truly, her saying that you saw me when I was unseen and you helped me when I needed help, as you found that we carry those moments in our hearts forever.
You don't have to have acres and acres of garden space. You don't have to grow all the plants and flowers. Just do what you can with what you have, and you can do good that way.
Hey friend, welcome to the Growing Kindness Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Kitchen, founder of the Growing Kindness Movement. This is a place where we grow together, learning to root our lives in kindness, connection, and community. If you've ever wished the world felt a little softer, a little more neighborly, or if you're craving stories that remind you that goodness still grows, you're in the right place. Together with our guests, we'll share stories of generosity and community, proof that even the smallest acts of kindness, from growing and giving cut flowers to everyday acts of care, can change lives and connect us in powerful ways. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started.
It is an absolute delight to get to introduce you to our guest today, Maggie Hartman. I've been following along with Maggie's story for the last 6 years and absolutely inspired by her. She is just an incredible young woman, and I can't wait for you to get to hear her story. I know it will inspire you the way that has inspired me. Maggie, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So Maggie, we would love to hear a little bit more about you. Can you introduce yourself and share a little bit more about who you are and the corner of the world that you call home?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Maggie. I am from kind of West Michigan, the Grand Rapids, Holland area, and I own Maggie's Flowers, which we'll get to talk about a little bit more. I am 20 years old. I'll be 21 in January. So it's getting pretty close. And I am in my senior year of college at Hope College.
Excellent. We were just talking earlier, you're majoring in education, right?
Yes, secondary education, social studies.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Maggie, your story starts with this seed that was planted years and years ago. Can you take us all the way back to the beginning and share how your story, the way that you are just impacting your community with such kindness, how that began?
Yeah, totally. So it starts back when I was 5, and my family was going on a family vacation to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and my grandpa was going to go hang gliding, and I decided that I was also going to go hang gliding, because who wouldn't? But it was $100 to go, and my parents didn't necessarily have that money just for me to do something on a family vacation. So we kind of brainstormed, like, how could I maybe raise a little bit of money? And I always liked getting flowers at the, farmer's market when I went with my grandma and that type of thing. So that seemed like a good place to start. I'm not really a lemonade person. I'm not really a bake sale person. So flowers seemed good. So my grandpa made me a stand. I just, got a little package of zinnias from the grocery store and just sold little bouquets for $1, because at 5, that was a lot of money. And that year I ended up making $200. So my dad had to go with me when we went hang gliding, and it was a bunch of fun. And I really, really liked growing the flowers and making bouquets. So the next year I was like, Mom and Dad, like, I really want to do the flowers again. And we didn't necessarily have a need for like a fundraise for anything specifically. So we started to brainstorm, and my parents have always said, like, there was always going to be people in the world who have more than us in any way, shape, or form, but there's also always going to be people who have less than us, and that's what we need to focus on. So that was the idea. And at 6 then, I couldn't necessarily fathom the fact that people didn't have a house or went without food. That was just like so beyond my 6-year-old brain. But the fact that like some kids might not have Christmas presents was kind of top of the list. So that's what we decided to do. And that year we bought 35 gifts for a family, and I really loved that. And we've just kind of been doing that ever since. So this is my 15th year of doing Maggie's Flowers, and it's just grown from there.
Maggie, 15. There's so many things to pause and acknowledge in this. I mean, I have tears in my eyes hearing this, because just to what a gift that your parents gave you to seed such a beautiful thought so early on that there's always something we can do for another, but also to give you the tools to be able to do it. And then for you to have such a big heart and find something that resonated with you and be able to give in that way. But 15 years, okay, we definitely need to hear more about this journey. So at your first year when you started out, you were able to fundraise, and it sounds like you gave gifts to one family that first year. So 35 gifts to family. I cannot imagine how pivotal it was for that family and how much it impacted them. And then from there, you've continued. I know from following along on social media that you give far, far more than 35 gifts a year. Can you share a little bit more about how this has grown and evolved over the years for you? So you started with a single flower stand, fundraising with that, and then started with supporting one family with Christmas gifts. Can you share a little bit more about how this has kind of evolved over the years? Because I know that it is far and away bigger than 35 gifts.
It definitely is. So 14, 15 years later, instead of one stand, now I have 5 different stands scattered around my local area. Now I do weddings and events and markets and pretty much anything that needs flowers, I'll do it, which is fun. So that's the business side. And then with gifts, I give away gifts to a bunch of different organizations. So each year I'll give away between 2,000 and 3,000 gifts. So
I want to just pause for a moment and acknowledge every year you're gifting 2,000 to 3,000 gifts in your community, in your local community.
Yeah,
that's absolutely incredible. Can you just imagine how many people are touched and impacted by that kindness? So tell us more about the process of this to be able to sustain this. This is no small thing.
No, it's pretty crazy. On the gift side, I give to like a variety of different organizations. So it's coming up in a couple weeks. It's crazy. I do a big gift event where parents can come and pick out gifts for their kids. So they can pick out 3 gifts for each of their kids. And we have some lovely volunteer wrappers who will like wrap all their gifts up, put little tags on them. And we have them take them home in big, like black, like industrial garbage bags. So like they're black, they're not see-through, no one can see what's inside, that type of thing. So kids won't know. But then they're all set. It's wrapped. They don't have to worry about buying wrapping paper or figuring anything out. Everything is all set. And so that's open to everyone. So I went to everyone in the school district that I graduated from, I guess. Now I used to say it was my school district. It's not anymore. Crazy. But everyone from that district, parents can come and get gifts. I also partner with a couple different local organizations, food pantries and different things, and they send their clients over. And then we usually just put it out on like the local informed page. So if anyone needs gifts, they can come on out and we'll be happy to have them, which is great. Then I partner with another local ministry who works with homeless individuals in the area. And so I pick out gifts for all of those kiddos, which is a lot of the time, but it's really, really good. And I'm happy that they are able to get things for Christmas. We usually keep some of our bigger gifts for that group. I'm always like very particular about what gifts I get. And same thing with that. You just have to think like, I try not to give gifts that need batteries, that type of thing, or gifts that you would need certain things for. I'm just very particular with selecting those gifts, but that one's one of my favorite ones to do. And then I give gifts to a local nursing home. So there'll be like 60 to 70 residents, and I'll, in the next couple of weeks, get a list of what kind of sweaters and candies and devotionals and lotions and birdseed that they would like. And so we go Black Friday shopping and get some good deals on gifts for them and wrap them and deliver those. And I usually get to go to their holiday party and watch them all open it, which is really, really special. That one's really special. It's like a really great tradition that I have. Like we just go and I can see like, I'm so glad like this is the person who I bought that particular sweater for, like I'm just scrolling through Kohl's and seeing like, oh, this is such a pretty sweater. She's going to love it. And then to be able to see like, she actually did love it is like so touching. And then another thing that I really love to do, I bring a bunch of gifts to a local alternative school, and all of those kids can pick up gifts for their entire family from them, which is also super fun. I get to help them wrap. They all wrap their own gifts. So I get to teach them to wrap gifts, and they just have like ownership and the ability to like, I bought this for my siblings, my parents, like that type of thing. And so that's always super duper fun. I always do that the last week of school. They're so excited. I'm so excited. It's fantastic.
Maggie, the ripples of kindness that are flowing out through this are just, they're absolutely endless. I would love to hear more. I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years, and I imagine there are some moments of interaction like you just shared, especially particularly getting to share with long-term care residents. What are some of the moments that really stay with you of interactions you've either got to witness or responses that you've heard from the people who've had the opportunity to receive one of the gifts that you purchased?
Yeah, totally. Like I said, the nursing home was so fun because they are just so excited. There was one year I got a request for a baby doll, and I was like, not entirely sure. Like, okay, I'll get you the best baby doll we could possibly get. But I was just like, not quite sure. It's not usually on the list. And so I got to go and I got to watch her open it. And she was just like holding it and touching it and rocking it. And she was just having like the best time. And it was so special. Like, she was just so excited, and it was amazing to like get to hug some of the parents who were like not sure that they were going to be able to get Christmas, and now they found exactly what their kid asked for. It's something that we really try to do. We try to buy all of our gifts on like 50 to 90% off, so we can get the same like Barbies and Hot Wheels, like name brand stuff for these families. So like the kids are going to go to school and say like, I got that exact same Barbie too, or I also got that monster truck. You know, they can go and get the exact same thing as their peers. So some parents, when they go and they're like, this is like my kid got the magazine and circled this exact thing, and now I get to bring this home. That's really special. Last year or the year before, I brought all of our gifts to the ministry that works with homeless individuals. And I just bring bags and bags. We had to take like 3 loads of gifts there. But there was a woman sitting in the lobby, and I didn't think anything of it. We were just hauling bags in, and she like, as I was like, all right, like all set, good to go. And the pastor who runs the ministry, he was like, I want you to meet somebody. And it's really like a lot. But this woman was like, you gave me gifts, like one of your first years of giving gifts, and it means so much to me. And like, I still think about that, and I try to give back. Like, just having that, like someone caring about me enough to like give me Christmas is like, with moving to her, and like she was crying, I was crying clearly, but I just think about that.
We're all crying like, now. But truly, like what her saying that like you saw me when I was unseen and you helped me when I needed help. Like it's a gift that people hold, as you found, that we carry those moments in our hearts forever. And it's so beautiful that it can be, something so small as a kind word, or something, so impactful as a Christmas gift when you thought there would be nothing.
Yeah. I sometimes, like, as I've gotten older, I've had kind of a hard time. Like, there's so many problems in the world. Like, I feel like sometimes Christmas gifts, like, that's what you decided to, like, try to help. People are living in poverty, in homelessness, in, like, don't know where their next meal is coming from. Like, why couldn't I pick something that is, like, a need or a necessity? But when I think about it, like, sometimes, like, something special for you can make a difference, even outside of, like, having your basic needs met.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think really that's kind of the premise, like in giving flowers, is that flowers, they're not a necessity. We can live without them. And yet there's something that happens when somebody's given something that is beautiful or special or personal that's just for them. And it's just because we want them to get to enjoy either that beauty or that thoughtfulness. I mean, clearly you put so much thoughtfulness into the gifts that you select for the recipients. And to know that somebody wanted you to get to have that same experience, that same moment. I think the power of receiving a gift is knowing that someone thought of you and planned something for you and took effort and attention, to make sure that there would be something for you that was special to you. And obviously you are putting so much thought and care and attention into what you're selecting for these people so that they know that they are seen and remembered, and they deserve the beauty of the holidays as well. And it's absolutely incredible. And I think that probably all of us listening, to your story are just so inspired by the work that you're doing and the fact that you've chosen something where you see such a huge impact and just given all that you can to it. So speaking of giving all that you can to this, Maggie, this is no small undertaking. Can you share a little bit more about the process, throughout the year of the work that you do to be able to be ready at the holiday season with these thousands of gifts to give?
Absolutely. I was actually in a meeting with a professor this morning, and she was like, please tell me things have calmed down with flowers with you. I'm like, flowers, yeah, but gifts are starting up. And she was like, but it's true. Like, it's kind of a year-round situation. I, at this point, do flowers pretty much constantly. It definitely is more heavy between like Mother's Day and the end of September. That's like my main flower season. But I do flowers for a local Chick-fil-A, so that's year-round. I do special orders, weddings, that type of thing all year round. So that's happening. Same thing with buying gifts. So like I said, I try to buy all of my gifts on a really good sale, on clearance, and so that the money can spread a little bit farther. But we are out like 2 days after Christmas shopping because there's always really good deals. So literally like a couple days after Christmas, we'll be out hitting the stores, seeing what good deals we can find, looking online. January we found is a really big month for good clearance sales. Same thing with July. That one's pretty, towards the end of July, you can get some pretty good deals. So pretty much year round, we are at the store 2 to 3 times a week, just checking in on our friends. And at this point, we've gotten to be pretty good at knowing if things are going to go on more of a sale or when they might go on a sale. So we'll be going down the aisle. We'll be like, we'll buy you at $7, but not while you're 10, which is really funny. But it's pretty much constantly. And I've kind of taken over various parts of our house. The basement is all practically mine. So all year, we actually just this winter, it was supposed to be an office. It's not an office. It's just Maggie's gift storage. So we took all the office stuff out and just built like so many shelves so we can store things, which is helpful. But it's just much crazy all year.
That is absolutely incredible. Like, you are investing so much time and energy and effort ensuring that the people in your community know that they are seen and cared for. And it's absolutely inspiring. Maggie, when you say we, is that you and your parents? Who's a part of the we team with you?
Yeah, it's me and my family. So I'm on my dad. My brother is a huge help. He is a year younger than me, but he is much taller than me. So he's our muscle.
He does the heavy lifting.
He does do the heavy lifting. He's a plumber apprentice right now. So he has all the tools and all the things. I'm like, Garrett, I could really use like this, and this on my stand. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. And just does it. He's fantastic. He'll help me out in the garden. He's really a workhorse. I could not do it without him. And my grandma is amazing too. She helps me out. She's great at wrapping. She loves doing the nursing home. Her and her cousin make a day of it and they wrap nursing home gifts together. And it's just really special. But she's amazing. She kind of gave me my love of flowers. So she's always like, flowers are you going to plant this year? Like that type of thing. So she's fantastic too. But yeah, my family, I could not do without them. They're amazing.
Maggie, I honestly, I have no words. It is absolutely incredible. And I think every parent listening is probably so inspired to just consider the ways that we can plant seeds or encourage the seeds in our children that they're wanting to grow in outreach and serving others and spreading kindness and hope and joy the way that you've been. I know it's your story, so it probably do you know how incredible this story is? Like, do you know how incredible the work that you're doing is? Like, you are doing this. It's absolutely inspiring, Maggie. So what do you think is the biggest thing that you have learned through this experience, and how has it shaped who you are today?
That is a big question. I think that just kind of saying yes. I kind of joke that my parents never told me no growing up, and this is the result of that. But if you feel led to grow flowers or help out a neighbor or like literally do anything, like do it, say yes. And that's kind of what I've learned. It's like, okay, if I'm feeling a nudge to go do something, then I should do that. And I've learned to be more like receptive and like, okay, I think that's what I need to do, which has definitely grown. But pretty much, yeah, just like knowing what you feel like you should be doing and working towards that in any way, shape, or form. I feel that way with like, even I felt the nudge to go into education. That was not, everyone kind of expected me to like start doing Maggie's Flowers full time and that being my career. And then all of a sudden I was like, nope, I'm going to be a teacher. And that's really like been a crazy wild ride too. So yeah, just taking everything life throws at you and going with it, I guess.
That's beautiful. Just say yes. Just say yes. One of the things that I'm really wondering is, what have you received? You have given so much. And yet I can see by the smile on your face and the just light in your life, like you have received so much through this experience too. Can you share a little bit more about what this has been for you?
Yeah, I think when you do something for someone else without, like, the entire definition of service is doing something for someone else without an expectation of anything else in return. And I think that in doing that, you do receive so much, just like, oh, like I can make a difference and people can be impacted. And in doing that, like, people are so generous. You get to see like the beauty of humanity. And so often we get to see like just awful things, like watching news and just thinking about things. But like anytime that I have posted something isn't working right for the business, like my floral cooler went out and quit working. My floral coolers are expensive. Like it just wasn't going to be an option. My friend's dad was like, oh, like we can take care of that and scrap it for you. I'm like, totally, thanks. We weren't going to be able to fit that in our car, whatever. But he took it back to his work, and his entire work like came together and fixed it for us.
Oh,
and
man.
so he delivered it back. Like just crazy things that you just don't get to experience, that type of like community and togetherness and like beauty of everyone taking their gifts and talents and working towards like a goal of helping other people until you kind of have this experience. Like I've been like, shoot, I'm like $300 short of my goal, and someone will send me a check for $300. Anytime that like, as Maggie's Flowers, we've said like, hey, X, Y, or Z is needed. Like we need volunteers. We need, like, people are just like always willing to help. And that's not necessarily like the narrative that you always hear. So it's really, really special to get to like experience.
Absolutely. And all it takes, though, it does take someone putting out the ask. And when you ask, I've heard before, when you're willing to ask, it allows people an opportunity to serve. So not only are you serving others and spreading so much kindness directly from your efforts, you are creating opportunity for others to come in and be a part of that alongside of you. And that is such a beautiful thing also.
That's definitely something we've had to learn. Me and my mom both are very like, we got it, we can handle it, don't ask for help type of people. As it's grown, we've had to ask for help. And that's been a little bit difficult sometimes, like letting people like see kind of the messy side of what we do. But it like letting people come and weed our garden. We're like, we're so sorry, it's a mess. And they're like, literally, we came to fix the mess. Like, don't weed the garden for us to come weed. Like, it doesn't make sense. That's just like natural, I feel like. But being able to like let that go and like allow people to help, because yeah, like it means something to them to be able to help too. So that's definitely also something we've had to learn.
That's absolutely incredible. You have so many golden, you're just wise beyond your years. Like truly, I do have to ask, like, are your parents must be very service minded in your community and they're obviously very thoughtful parents to have influenced, at a young age to help you kind of see other people's needs and consider. Has that been a big part of helping you and find this path that you're on?
Absolutely. I don't know that I would have, especially at such a young age, like developmentally, you're not thinking about other people necessarily at 5 or 6, but they are very like, no, like you can help people. My mom growing up always like made meals for people all the time. She hates cooking. She'd always make meals for people. Like my dad is always so willing to go and like help out if someone needs it. And I just kind of grew up with that. So it wasn't a crazy idea. But the more that I've gotten older, the more that I realize what a gift that is.
Truly. I mean, I want to interview your parents now. They sound absolutely incredible. I mean, as a parent of younger children myself, you're constantly thinking about what are the ways that I can plant seeds to help my children have the eyes to see others and the confidence to know they can do something to help others. And your parents have clearly helped set you on a path that now is your path in your journey, but helped you take those first steps in that. And it's so encouraging as a parent myself listening. And yeah, your parents are clearly incredible, incredible humans. I feel the same way as you, though. I feel like the world is really heavy and it's really hard. And it can feel like the little bit that we can do feels like it's not enough. And so it's really inspiring and encouraging and helpful to hear a story of someone who's taking, what she can do and doing a lot with it. And obviously, like you shared, that didn't start out. You weren't sharing thousands of gifts those first years. It would have been overwhelming and probably impossible to start at that level. But, over time, you've grown to here where you are by just continuing to do the little bit that you could each year. And those little bits have grown into, significant impacts in your community. So this is just such a beautiful story of the way that something so small and simple, which was learning to grow flowers and use them to raise funds, has grown into something really, really incredible, and how flowers have continued to be the catalyst that has helped you be able to reach out in your community in such a huge way. I would love to know from the gardener side of things, if someone was listening and inspired to either start growing flowers to use them to do something like you're doing to impact their community, or if they're inspired to maybe start growing flowers, to gift them to others as acts of kindness, just the flowers themselves, what would be your practical advice? It sounds like you have over 15 years experience as a flower gardener. If someone was listening today and was new to gardening, what would be one piece of advice that you would want to give them?
Something that I have learned also is you're going to go onto Instagram, you're going to look up people who grow flowers, and you're going to see bouquets of these like masterful, gorgeous bouquets with so many different flowers and that type of thing. Don't feel like you have to do that, especially starting out. I would say like get some good hardy, like zinnias are always like a tried and true favorite for me. They're so hardy, they're easy. You sprinkle them down, maybe give them some water occasionally, and they'll grow, and they're colorful and they're beautiful. Cosmos are beautiful. So like, don't feel like you have to go out right away and make these crazy bouquets with dahlias and lisianthus and all these crazy flowers. They're gorgeous, and definitely go with that. But don't let not being able to make bouquets like that be kind of a block and like, oh, I can't do that, so shouldn't do anything. Like, flowers are inherently beautiful. You can't make flowers ugly. Like, it's true. Just go get a pack of seeds, sprinkle them down, and do good with it. There isn't really an excuse. You can just, like, even if you live in an apartment, have some pots with a few flowers in it on your porch or in a windowsill. You don't have to have acres and acres of garden space. You don't have to grow all the fancy flowers. Just do what you can with what you have, and you can do good that way.
That is excellent encouragement. I could not agree anymore. I think so often we tend to create our own barriers by overcomplicating things. And a lot of times that overcomplication comes from comparison and looking around and thinking, I've got to do this like other people are doing it, or it's got to be more, rather than just trusting that if I just start with what I have, that will be enough. And I think your story is such a beautiful picture of that. When we start with what we have, it is always more than enough. So as a gardener, an experienced gardener, in my life, I think you've gardened more years or as many years as I have. At this point in your life, Maggie, you really are an experienced gardener. What would you say that growing a garden has taught you about patience, renewal, or hope?
Yeah, I think patience, obviously, I am not a patient person. So I've had to learn, like, I'll go through the catalog, I buy all the fancy seeds that I like, then I have to, like, go through all the process of, like, planting them and starting them and singing to them and watering them and making sure that they grow, like, all right, come on, guys, let's pull it together and start to grow. But being able to, like, wait and see that come to fruition is really cool every year. And, like, it's gotten easier every year because I know that, like, it will be worth it in the end. But having to slow down and be patient and, like, do a lot of work ahead of being able to see anything come of it was also really tricky. But also, like, even in 15 years of gardening, it's not easy. I will have great success with a flower one year and then totally not grow anything the next year for who knows why. This year was really tough, like, weather-wise. We were in such a drought over here that My garden sucked. Like, to be honest, it was not good.
I think it's real, though, to name that some years it doesn't matter how much experience we have or how many times we've grown that same pack of seeds. It just flopped that year.
Yeah, it just didn't work. Like, half my garden just came up, had little sprouts, and then just died off because it was too hot and too dry, even though we had watered it. I was pretty ticked, pretty upset.
Yeah.
Like, I really was excited about that. But I think on the hope side, next year's a new year and I will have a beautiful garden next year. And like, even though it didn't work out this time, like, I had a beautiful garden last year. A bunch of things came up. It was gorgeous. This year it didn't work out, but like, I have hope for next year that it will be better. And I'm going to do a couple things to make it a little better because you can always tweak and change and update. I'm going to use a new fertilizer, super fancy, that type of thing. So there's always hope that like, even if it doesn't work out right away, it will soon.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful life lesson. I think the garden teaches us so many big things. It's just a beautiful parallel for our own experiences in life that even if it isn't working out right now, it will someday. So Maggie, when you mentioned that your garden really struggled last year, what happens for you as you're selling flowers, to raise these funds for the gifts when you have a year when the garden is really struggling? What does that look like and how does that impact you?
It was a lot. Really pretty frustrating. Again, going back to kindness, like 10 years ago now, one of the local big time flower growers in the area donated a whole bunch of perennials to me. Now it's been a few years. So they're pretty well established. So I'm really thankful that I had that great base. That like, even though like, even they kind of struggled, but I at least had some blooms to go off of from those plants. But my annuals, any flower that I grew from seed, just really, half of them came up, to be honest. It was really tough. And that really like impacts how many flowers I can grow. And even though flowers were really not great this year, I had probably one of the best selling summers in years. It was really crazy. So trying to pump those out, it made me like really nervous because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough flowers to meet the demand. But wouldn't you know, literally every single weekend when I had to like make all the stand bouquets and make flowers for the subscriptions that I do, I did not ever have an extra zinnia, but I never was short flowers.
There was exactly what was needed.
Absolutely. And so just trusting, I think, is important.
Mm-hmm. So as people are listening to your story, Maggie, I know that they're, like me, going to want to continue following along and continue being inspired. And also as we head into the holiday season, get to follow along with you behind the scenes. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just been such a joy for me to get to pop in and see the gifts that you're finding on clearance and the community members that you're rallying are together to help you with these really big gives. Where can people find you to continue following along with your story?
Yeah, totally. I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram. Both are Maggie's Flowers. Super simple. And yeah, we try to update pretty regularly, especially now going into gift season. We'll share the gift events that we have, what we're working on, and then it'll be a little quieter in January and February, but then we'll start posting about starting up the flower season again. And it's always fun to see like, okay, now we're posting a whole bunch about flowers and now it's gifts and now it's flowers, like kind of have that cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will link that in the show notes so that anybody who wants to follow along, and I'm sure everyone will want to follow along after hearing your incredible story, can do so. I think another question that probably many people are wondering at this point in time too is, how can we support you in this beautiful work that you're doing?
Yeah. So I always take donations of gifts, of wrapping paper, of just like financial donations too are always helpful. That's like the easiest way. I know a lot of like different groups locally like come and volunteer their time to help organize and wrap or weed the garden. And that's always really sweet. But even just like following along and sending encouragement sometimes, and especially like up ahead, like giving away gifts, and then I'll have exams at the same time and just kind of gets really busy. And then I get kind of like stressed, but then reading someone saying like, this is awesome, or like something like that, like really does make a difference. So even just a simple like word of encouragement is always so needed. And so I'm always so thankful for it.
Well, I can only imagine the exhaustion that probably comes as you head into later December. So we will certainly be your cheerleaders with pom-poms up and ready to cheer you on through that, because the work that you're doing is truly making a difference in so many people's lives, and it inspires us all to consider ways that we can use what we have to have an impact in our communities. So, Maggie, this has been an absolute delight to get to hear more about your journey and the path that has led you to where you are today. I would love to hear what's ahead. What's next for you, aside from you've got a really big year coming up with graduating from college, and well, it sounds like you'll be starting with student teaching and then graduating from college. And then what do you see ahead for you in terms of Maggie's Flowers and in terms of the gifting that you're doing in your community?
Especially like as I'm getting done with college and starting my like full-time teaching career in the fall. Like a lot of people are like, is this the year that you're done? Are you done with Maggie's Flowers now? I don't think so. I'm just planning to continue to grow it. As a teacher, you don't necessarily work during the summer as much. So then I'll have more opportunity to do flowers. And at this point, I've barely lived life without doing Maggie's Flowers. It's been the vast majority of my life. So I don't know that I could really imagine my life without it. So I don't know how much busier it makes me necessarily, because it just is. But my goal for every year is just to grow, do more flowers, raise more money, and eventually just give more gifts. There's always a need. Once there's not a need, I'm thrilled. I would love for there to not ever be a need and me to move on to something else, but I know that just kind of isn't necessarily the case. So being able to reach more people and have more kiddos have a really good Christmas is always the goal.
We are cheering for you all the way, Maggie. It's incredible to get to hear what you're doing, and we are cheering for you and all the next steps. I think you are such a beacon of hope and encouragement, and a reminder to us all that truly when we use what we have to share with others, the joy is just multiplies exponentially, and our ability to help others just multiplies exponentially. So thank you for being that in the world and for sharing your story here with us today. So as we close out our interview today, I think that you have shown us over and over that there is no such thing as a small act of kindness. And as a reminder to us all, one thing that I love to do is just ask everybody as we're closing our interview one question, and that is, what's a small act of kindness that someone has once done for you that you still carry with you in your heart today?
This is such like a really small one, and it's just like in the front of my brain. Like people are so kind. So there's like been so many acts of kindness that I could choose. This is just like the most recent, but I recently went gluten-free, which is not my favorite thing, but here we are.
It's a big change. It's a big life change.
It's a big change, and I'm not loving it. I really like bread.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends from school was doing a bake sale, and she made cupcakes, and she saved one for me, and it was a gluten-free vanilla cupcake. And she saved it for me, and it was delicious, and it made my day. I had a really hard week, and it was so sweet, and it just like made such an impact. And it seems so small compared to other things, but it really just made my week. And so, I mean, that is kind of the epitome of just this really small act of kindness that made my day.
It is. And you're carrying it with you still because she saw you and she remembered and she considered what you needed and took that step. And maybe it was a small thing for her to set aside a cupcake, but it made a big difference. And I think it's just a beautiful reminder to us all that we never know what we can say or do today. It may seem like the smallest thing, but it will stay with somebody. It has the potential to stay with somebody and continue brightening their day and warming their heart far, far after that small interaction, whatever it is. So thank you for that beautiful reminder. And thank you so much for being here with us today, Maggie. It is truly an honor to get to hear your story. And I know that so many of us are cheering for you and just want to support you in the beautiful work that you're doing in your community.
So sweet. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
Thank you so much for listening to the Growing Kindness podcast. It means the world that you take the time to be here. Every time you show up, every time you listen in, community grows. If today's episode encouraged you, there are a few simple ways to keep growing kindness with us. First, you can join the team. When you become a Growing Kindness Gardener, you link arms with like-minded, like-hearted people from all around the world who believe that small acts of kindness really do make a big difference. As a gardener, you'll receive access to resources, inspiration, and connection to help you grow and give flowers as acts of kindness in your corner of the world. It's free to join. Another way to get involved is to become a donor. This podcast is made possible by the generosity of our donors, kind-hearted people who believe, just like you, that stories of goodness are worth sharing. If you'd like to help us share more stories just like today's, visit growingkindnessproject.org/donate to make a gift and keep kindness blooming. We'd love to stay connected with you. You can sign up for our newsletter or find us on Instagram at Growing Kindness Project. We'd love to keep in touch and cheer you on as you grow kindness in your community. And finally, if this episode touched your heart, would you share it with a friend? It's one of the simplest ways to spread kindness today. I'm so grateful you're here. Until next time, keep growing kindness, one bloom at a time.